friends, how are you? Today I hope you're doing well. It is an overcast morning, so Clementine and I were able to sleep in a little bit, and I am very grateful. Oh my goodness, excuse me again. It is an overcast morning, so Clementine and I were able to sleep in a little bit, and I wanted to come to you with another story from the book. And this is about my early life, the beginning of my life. I've mentioned it before. My parents were teenagers when I was born. They were 16 and 17 years old, and they really had no intention of even keeping me at all. It was my grandmother who asked that I be born, and as a matter of fact, she made a pact with my parents that if I was born, she would take care of me. She would not only just take care of me, that she would spoil me and that I would never want for anything at all. They wouldn't even have to lift a finger if they didn't want to. She would take care of me completely. And both of my parents begrudgingly agreed to this. And when I was born and my grandmother upheld her end of the bargain, both of them became jealous, particularly my mother. And then she began to resent both myself and my grandmother for the relationship that we had, even though it was a relationship that my grandmother promised would be the way that it was. And this is the type of woman that my mother is. She just likes conflict, and she doesn't ever want to be satisfied. I mentioned this before. When I came back to her and my family in Las Vegas, I was arrested for the third time in 5 years for something that I didn't do. Now, at the time that I was in jail, everyone recognized how extraordinary the story was. And she even suggested to me that I write a book about my experience. We had a conversation on the jail phone about it. She said it was destined for me to do it. I agreed with her. And then when I got to her house and wrote the book, that wasn't enough. That wasn't enough because she wanted me to do something else, which was get a traditional job like she had. And the best part about that storyline is she didn't even list that as a stipulation for coming to her house. She just said that she was so glad to have me back. If she never even mentioned, like, you have a certain amount of time and then you have to do what I want you to do or you have to leave. And that's, again, after a year, she decided that I had enough money that I had to go. And again, it's just somebody just trying to flip the script to make things difficult, especially this woman, because whenever things go well, she doesn't like it and she likes to cause conflict and chaos. And that's just another thing that has made it very difficult for me throughout my life. And I'm going to keep bringing these up because it's what I want to do. And when I came back, to Las Vegas, again, the person that read the book, that purchased the book and read the book, is the only person that came to ask me anything about what had transpired in the 5 years. My middle aunt and her husband are the only ones that even asked me what went on over the course of 5 years. And still to this moment, I don't believe anyone except for my middle aunt and her husband have even thought about the book. And that's the kind of family that I have. And that is why the story is so extraordinary. Because they're just one of many people who saw fit to betray me for some very epic reason. And I wrote a big book about it, and it's really interesting. And that is what I am here to promote, and I'm going to continue to do so because I have a feeling that a lot of these tropes are not just what is it called? They're not just about me. They're not just things that occurred in my life. And I feel like bringing attention to them and trying to understand these types of people, trying to understand narcissism in its more psychological form, and trying to really deal with the impact of that kind of energy on a person's life in real time, so that everyone can see it, because this type of energy has affected my life very, very deeply. And I know that there are people out there who have bad parents whose lives are affected very deeply as well. And at some point, society will tell you that you have to grow up and you have to get over it and blah, blah, blah. And that is actually not true either. You definitely do have to grow up, and you definitely do have to move on with your life with or without the closure that you might want. However, you can still try to understand and try to make peace with what happened to you. And you do have to go back and you do have to itemize and you do have to talk about it. And I feel like talking about it on a larger platform where other people might be able to see it can actually help other people, because I'm a very articulate person. And I'm the type of person who believes that nothing happened to me just for no reason. All of these things did not happen to me in vain. And I know that they didn't just happen to me. So I want to bring attention to them to make sure that other people can be helped by it, not just myself. I want to work through this on my own, and I want other people to be helped by it as well. All right, so now I want to talk a little bit about the Hollywood angle, or the industry angle, which is something that I don't really like to discuss a lot because these people already get too much attention, but it is a big part of the book. So essentially, celebrities or people who are part of the industry are kind of like, I guess the best way I could put it is they're kind of like NPCs, like non-playable characters. Once you get into the industry, you are handled. There is no way for a person who has an agent, a manager, a producer, a handler, all of this to think for themselves. And the higher up you get in the industry, the less of your own personality profile you are able to use as part of your brand. Think about people like Tom Cruise or J-Lo or even Beyonce. They're so high up on the pyramid that they have lost their souls to the game. And you can see the light sort of drain out of their eyes, and you can see them go from being normal human beings to something else. There's definitely something going on there. And I write about this in the book. I interacted with one of these fairy tale prince guys. And the interaction was absolutely bizarre. And at the end of it, I got the impression that we won't be able to pursue even a friendship beyond the first time that we met because I'm not part of the industry. And that was very bizarre to me. And it's ironic that I met one of those guys because the people who were hired to target me in an energetic way for my content also fit that same profile. But it was very easy to walk away from them because I'd walked away from one of them in real life. I went out with this guy and never called him ever again. So that is something, I don't know if they knew this about me. I'm sure they probably at some point learned this, and they should have known that it wasn't going to work for this type of man to send me energetic or online sort of messaging that was going to affect me in any way when one of them didn't affect me in real life. As a matter of fact, this guy made it so that when the other guys came along, I knew what was up. I knew that there was definitely an underlying theme to their attention on me. And it was not for us to be friends or anything like that. It was for them to get as much of my energy and content as they possibly can for their agenda. It's us against them. They not like us. I mean, name one person who you know who knows a famous person, like a celebrity. Once you become famous like that, you have to detach from your old life and from your friends. It's part of becoming an industry insider. And the more inside you get, the more in a bubble you are. And I burst that bubble in the book in real life because I'm, first of all, a bigger star in my eyes than any of these people. And they're stupid. I don't like that kind of weird ass cult behavior, and I'm not going to stand for it.